All right, Story Trading VIPs, we got a big show, an important show, a lot to talk about. We're probably going over 15 minutes. I'm going to spend a good bit of time on SMSI and a good bit of time on DRIO. So we're going to do that at the end of the show so we can focus on it. Let's just run through some other events that happened here, and we'll get to SMSI and DRIO in just a minute. So first, at the top of the show, we are still risk on, right? We've been calling the bottom basically for 2 months now in the markets. I don't think anything can derail this. This is just now technicals for the time being. Maybe some chop, maybe some technicals, up towards the 200-day moving average on QQQ. I think the only thing that can derail this right now is geopolitics. Again, you know the theme, you know the story, been talking about it. No Fed meeting this month, midterms coming up in November. So all the data look good. The earnings reactions look great last quarter. Stocks going up on bad news. CPI, month over month, no inflation. So everything is solid right now for continued risk on play, or at least relative market stability, which is good for stock picking. So, all right, let's go through some of these, and then we'll get to SMSI and DRIO. VTSI had earnings yesterday. Again, there's another report next week. So as I said yesterday, I said there's very little risk holding VTSI into this because it's going to have to be a terrible report for it to sell off. Because if it's a lukewarm report or something with some positives and some negatives, you get another catalyst next week. And so I held on to it. Besides the fact it bounced off the 2050, a nice little chart here. So actually, that's what we got. I think we got a mixed report, some positives, some negatives. I'm not going to go into the details of the report right now, but it's good enough to hold the line here. At least we're not going to break those support levels, I don't think. Initial reaction was positive in VTSI last night, although, it's a very low volume stock, but there was a good amount of buying at 530, 540, even 545 at the ask last night. So that's the story on VTSI. CFVI had big news, S4 registration effectiveness statement. This is the company September 15th. There's a shareholder vote. We are interviewing the CEO of Rumble this next Thursday at 5 p.m. So make sure to sign up for that. It's free. StoryTrading.com/Rumble. If you're a StoryTrading VIP, your question will be asked live on air, or just send it to me in advance, however you want to do that. So we'll get those questions answered for you. All right, we also had earnings on RKLY, which was a disappointment. They basically said they have they're reducing their guidance, and they don't even know what the guidance is going to be. They're going to update you on it later. So I took a little loss on this. I sold it in after hours. I didn't have a huge position, but I did get into this because of that new deal that they just got for the consumable, not the consumer watch. But this didn't work out for me right now. We also had earnings on TFPP, KMPH, AGRX. I did not have time to analyze this. I know there's people in our community who are leaders and who like all three of those stocks. AGRX is the Roe v. Wade play with the birth control patch. And we'll see. Just letting you know, earnings came out. So let's see if we can look at the charts real quick and garner anything. You can see where the 200-day moving average is on TFPP. So 640 resistance. You got support down here at 570. KMPH was over the 200 DMA. It's this is going to be interesting. I'd like to I know there's a couple people big on KMPH in our community, so I'd like their perspective on how earnings went to see how we might interact with that 200 DMA today. All right, CVV, we had a VIP meeting on this last Monday night. Earnings are on Monday. Excited about this. This seems like a similar stock to AEHR before it took off. So it didn't reach, from what I understand now, it didn't reach that same inflection point that AEHR had. So we didn't get there yet, but they're where AEHR was like a year or so before their inflection point, possibly. We're going to look forward to learn more on Monday and possibly invite management to bring. That's a company involved in semiconductor and silicon carbide manufacturing. PLAB earnings, that's a semiconductor stock I love. We have earnings coming up soon. The date hasn't been announced. I think it may be late next week. PET, this was the mistake I made. This is a DSPAC play. Earnings are on Monday. I'm probably going to get out of this with a gain or loss, whatever it is. I'm getting out today. This has been great. PRCH, this has been a technical trade, breaking the 50 DMA plus the huge price target upgrade from Cantor Fitzgerald to $8 when the stock was $2. I've never seen that from Cantor, like calling for a quadruple, huge short position. This has been on a short squeeze. I'm still holding this, and I'm looking for $4, but I might get out a little bit early. We'll see how that goes, just like I did with a couple of other these names. I have my price target, right? But when I'm in the deep green and then it starts pulling back, I often sell. So if we get a pullback, I like to preserve profits, even though it may have not reached the price target. So just keep that in mind. That's how I do it, at least. All right, so GOEV is another one I'm holding. This didn't really work out with the 20 DMA break that I was looking for. Earnings kind of interrupted that. And I'm in the green on this because I think my average is 360, but I'm looking for an exit on this. We'll see if we get another pop. I keep missing the pops. It's popped like 3 times and I haven't sold. SIGA, love it. Fundamentals, great. Sentiment, catalyst, technicals, great. New all-time highs every day. Wonderful. Everything's in motion. Everything's good. I took a little bit off the table yesterday. You got to sell a little bit as it goes up, I guess, in this case, and making good money on SIGA. Thank God. All right, Kodak. Let's see if we get continuation on that after a magnificent earnings report the other day. It pulled back yesterday, and very confident and happy with my Kodak position because of that stellar earnings report they had. Just want to point out Safe Foods, SVFD, had a catalyst. It just came out, a news catalyst. This was on our list. This is one of our new FANG plays, the agriculture play after the war broke out. So this is an interesting Israeli company. It's some sort of process they use to make the shelf life of fruits and vegetables last much longer. And in an era of higher food prices, that's where the sentiment comes into this. I don't know a lot about the fundamentals, but they have a catalyst here, which could improve fundamentals in the future. So something to look at for you guys who may be interested in safe foods. I just want to point out CSSE. I mean, it's been wild. The deal closed with Redbox. Redbox crashed. CSSE flew like 40-50%. Then this morning, they get like this crazy, insane price target from D.A. Davidson. They raised the price target from like $40 to $52. Very interesting. I'm not intimately familiar with the story. I know some of you are. So I'd like to hear what you think about the price target and the fundamentals on CSSE. Continue to monitor Oxy. I said right after Buffett got in, I said, maybe I'm going to get in. I didn't get in, so we're just watching it. So congratulations to those who did get in and followed the tip on that. Price target this morning. Another one of those new FANG stocks is an agriculture stock, doing well. Made a move from the 50 to 20 DMA. Got a big price target increase this morning to $117. Initiating coverage by Wolf Research, $117 at the 20. That's at the 20 DMA. It may break out above this. PE should be low. Yeah, 13. These ag stocks have very low PEs right now. So, all right, that's the story on all that. And now we can get to SMSI. All right, and then after that, we'll get to DRIO. So here's the story. SMSI. All right, so, earnings were perhaps disappointing. We knew that earnings would be disappointing. And, on the show we had Monday night, I had pointed out, and I asked Brian, I said, one of the things I'm worried about is a potential raise in their cash position, because I think their cash position's pretty low. And that came to fruition. Now, I did have, and I do still have a position in SMSI. So, I'm not thrilled about this, and I'm not going to hide. I actually sold a little bit in after hours. I have, it's about 2.5% of my portfolio. So it's a fairly big position. I can't sell it all in after hours, but I did sell a little bit, like 250 to 260. But in any case, what people are really upset about is the offering. Terrible terms like convertible shares and warrants, and it's a crazy amount. Mike, I think I had calculated about 16% dilution or so. And first thing before I get into the deep analysis here, I just want to say losses are part of the game. This is how stocks work. I tell people this who are new to the stock market, or people who have been in it but still don't get it. This is a very, very unique way of making money. In every other business in the world, you make money for your time, right? Whether you're an employee, whether you're in real estate, you buy a house, you flip it. I mean, it's almost impossible to lose money. Whether, you're like a hustler, you buy a product for a lower price and you put it on a ship and you sell it somewhere else. it's basically very hard to lose money as long as they put the time in. Stock market's not like that, folks. Stock market is a game of odds and a game of numbers. So it's all about allocation and diversification and what you do, your reactions when you're wrong and your reactions when you're right. Do you sell more? Do you buy? This is what the stock market's about. So losses are part of the game. This is expected. You shouldn't be shocked when something doesn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, okay? And how you protect against that, again, is how you allocate and diversification. Yesterday ended up being a superb day for me. Why? Because SMSI is 2.5% of my portfolio, and DRIO is over 20% of my portfolio. And you can see DRIO had an excellent day yesterday. It's up in pre-market again this morning, right? So that's the way you should be playing it. You should never have a real estate mentality in the stock market. And I know a lot of people do. Most people do. And that's why the stock market's so hard for people, because in every other aspect of life, you get paid for your time. You get paid for your efforts, not necessarily SMSI. I mean, not necessarily the stock market, right? You get paid for having patience. You get paid for holding. You buy a real estate at a high price. It doesn't matter. You hold it for a few years. Eventually, you sell it higher. That is not how the stock market works, folks. Losing is part of the game. Even the best people lose, right? So I just want to point that out. Now, I also want to point out for people who are deciding to sell here, because I know a lot of people are going to be running some math here and saying this is oversold, this is a great opportunity, and they might be right, okay? We see the stock is down 25% now. I think there's a very good chance we get like some capitulation spike low here, and then whoever buys today will end up either a great short-term trade, or they can also get a great, huge investment and a gigantic return out of this after a couple of years. That's all still possible. So, I just want to say there's no right or wrong. That's why we have a market. There's some people buying, some people selling. Why? Because people have different opportunities with their capital, right? So, someone can't come and say, oh, that person's stupid, they're selling right now, right? Well, what if someone has a better use for their money at $2.26, right? Even though, hey, the story might still be intact. They just get a 16% dilution, whatever it is. SMSI still going to 10. You're stupid. You're crazy. No, you're not stupid or crazy, because that person at 226 might have a better opportunity. Another stock is more intimately familiar with, or maybe it's not even stocks. Maybe he has a better use of that money in something private, in real estate, whatever it is. So we can't fault anyone or criticize anyone for decisions they make when they buy and sell, right? Everybody's right, I always like to say, all right? So no right or wrong answer if you decide to hold this or you decide to sell it. What's the other thing? Okay, now the thing I want to point out, though, let me just talk about the dynamics of this price action right now, because with this dilution, I had calculated the expected reaction if we didn't have our community, story trading community, Mark Gomes community. I think this stock would probably right now be between 250 and 275. And I think that's probably where the initial reaction should have priced it here in pre-market. Maybe it'll jump to that at the opening. The reason we're below that is two things. One is the community dynamic, the herd mentality that may be going on right now, because I have hundreds of people all, mirroring the same ideas right now. But the other thing is sentiment. This comes to the story trading process and why story trading is so important. This is a great lesson of why fundamentals are not everything, right? Spreadsheets are not everything. A spreadsheet is only as good as the assumptions which go in it. And most of the assumptions that go in it, whether you know it or not, is based on sentiment. It's based on faith and belief in management's ability to execute. It's based on a faith and some thesis. It's based on some thesis about the sector, right? This is all sentiment. And you know what? In some ways, what we're seeing with SMSI and what I'm about to show you with DRIO, I've made this argument before. In some ways, it's fair to make the argument, I think, perhaps sentiment is even more important than fundamentals, right? The qualitative things, product market fit, management ability. One of the things that I really like about DRIO, I'm about to get to, which is really hurting SMSI sentiment-wise, is the ability of the company to raise capital, right? So obviously, SMSI is not doing a great job of that with all these warrants and convertibles. DRIO always does an excellent job of that. No warrants ever. Offerings always above the market, right? that goes to sentiment. And because people are pissed off about that, you could do all the calculations you want. You can say, hey, this stock should be 250 to 275 now. The financial model says it should be 3 to 4, right? And all that may be true from a purely fundamental perspective, but don't be surprised to see the stock trade below that because of sentiment. So that's what's going on right now. And listen, I still have a position. I sold a little bit in after hours, but I'm not going to sit here and withhold my opinion or sugarcoat it, because my first responsibility is to my community. This is a business for me. It's a paid service, right? So I can't worry about my own pocketbook and my own portfolio. If I have to say a negative thing about SMSI, I will, even before I sell it, because my responsibility comes to you guys first. So I would love to be able to sell my entire position, honestly, between 250 and 275. I don't know that I can. I think I maybe sold 5 or 10% of my position max yesterday between 250 and 256. So it sucks. All right. Now, again, someone can say, Ben, you're making the wrong decision. This is going to go up. Yeah, you may be right, but I can have a different, again, a different opportunity with that same capital. And what are one of those opportunities? Possibly it's DRIO, one of them. All right, I'm already overweight. I don't know that I'll add more DRIO, but I could understand if someone said, all right, you know what? I can make more money with DRIO going forward than SMSI. That might be true. All right. So let me tell you, I want to make a prediction here with DRIO. We got to DRIO. Let me take a sip of water for a second. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. All right. Now, before I talk about DRIO, I want to harken back a second to AIR. Okay. It was last July when we had our VIP weekly meetup on a Sunday night. Now, we don't do them on Sunday nights anymore. We do them on Monday nights. This is the last chance we can get together and talk about the stock before Monday. And actually, it works out this week because DRIO earnings are Monday morning. It wouldn't have helped to have a meeting Sunday night. So in any case, we got together on a Sunday night, and I pounded the table on AIR at $2.70 after holding the stock for 2 years, right? And at that time, I had quadrupled my position on the Friday before that show, the Thursday and Friday before the show. Why? Because I had thought, and I thought together with the collaboration in the community, and especially Ashley had helped with the fundamental analysis and the understanding. Actually, not even the fundamentals. Mark helped with the fundamentals. Ashley really helped with the understanding of the past price action with AIR, what was holding it back, why were all the pops fake pops that didn't hold and got sold off, right? We understood that. So we were able to identify and understand the inflection point in AIR. And that's why at 270, I saw, that PR came out. I was pounding the table. I said, this is the inflection point, right? We recognize, which did not name Tesla. We recognize that was a different type of PR, a different type of order, which would signify production scale, not just for validation of semiconductor testing, some of the silicon carbides, okay? And also that we recognize it was Tesla and it was production scale and for EV batteries, right? That was the inflection point. And we were right. I went on to do a 10-bagger. I held it the entire way up to 25, aside from a little bit of a sale at 16, okay? Now, what I want to tell you this morning is I think there's a very, very good chance we're at that moment with DRIO, that this is AIR 2.0, that this is the moment. This is the Sunday night show of last July, right? We're doing it on a Friday morning. This is the Sunday night show where we say yesterday's PR is the inflection point. It didn't say Aetna. Based on our research, we know it's Aetna. The numbers here are game-changing. It's an inflection point that this one deal alone can take the company to profitability. This one deal alone can meet the analyst estimates, which make the analyst price targets come to fruition of $20 plus. Now they make sense. Now they're in view. Now they can reach the revenue to get to $20 plus. Obviously, don't put all your eggs in one basket. We saw what happened with SMSI. There's risk in everything. There's execution risk over the next couple of years with DRIO. All right, so chill out. All right, so that's what I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you I think this is the moment that DRIO could inflect. I think there's a possibility over the next few weeks and the next few months that DRIO goes up in multi-bagger fashion to 14, 15, 20. We'll have to see how earnings, we're going to see how earnings play out. That's a key on Monday, is to learn more about this deal, learn more about the contract details and the financials of this deal, learn more about the ramp up in this, the OPEX associated with ramping up this deal. But don't forget, when we talk about the 4 pillars, it's also sentiment. Sentiment is going to be dramatically improved with this deal with DRIO, right? Especially when they can announce who it is. And I reached out to management. They said, yeah, we still plan on announcing who it is. We just can't do it yet. So this is something where we said we believe it's Aetna. They obviously haven't given them the permission to do so. Now, there's a couple of reasons. I don't want to get into the minutia of the thinking, but there's a small chance that they're trying to get ahead of a poor earnings on Monday, which is why they put this out on Thursday, to dull the impact of that. But even if that's the case, it's correct for the stock to go up, because the future impact of this deal will outweigh any softness in a quarter. But there's also, I think, a greater chance that the quarter is great. And they just put this out there in order to prepare analysts and prepare the audience to be able to come and talk the deal details and be able to talk all the and ask the questions about this deal, because otherwise, if they didn't announce this, they wouldn't have been able to have that conversation Monday. So just keep those two in mind. And so there's, again, we want to find out more details on Monday, but if you're a little bit of a risk taker like I am, I want to get in before that. I added more yesterday to DRIO, depending on the price action. I might add a little bit more today. Let's talk about technicals for a second. If it gets ahead of itself, though, I do have some extra trading shares, some extra call options I bought yesterday. $9 or $8.90, something like that, is your 200-day moving average. Okay. And okay, I just got to get back to the sentiment. Hold on. I stopped in the middle of the thought with sentiment. We talked about the fundamentals of this DRIO deal, but the sentiment is extremely important. Not just investor sentiment, but I would say the clients that they try to sign up, in their sales pipeline sentiment. When you're able to say, we have this huge insurer as one of our clients, or the full national production rollout. By the way, it's 10 million lives. I think 10 million lives. Based on my conversations and what I've heard on conference calls, I'm thinking it's $2 to $3 a month, right? Let's say it's $2. That's $20 million a month. That seems excessive, right? Could be. Someone in our DRIO research group said, that seems excessive. It could be on a sliding scale. Maybe it goes down to 25 to 50 cents. Now, I don't believe that, but let's entertain them, and I'll take the 50 cents. If it goes down to 50 cents at 10 million lives, that's $5 million a month. That's $60 million a year. They're currently on a $36 million run rate. They just added $60 million on a $36 million run rate, which, by the way, this deal alone, 36 plus 60, gets them to 96, gets them to profitability. Okay? So, but anyway, going back to the sentiment, when you go to your sales pipeline and say, look, right, it's going to be quicker to get inquiries. It's going to be quicker to close deals, easier to close deals with employers and other insurers. And then when you talk about investor sentiment, this is huge. Obviously, listen, if they were able to say the name of the insurer yesterday, the stock would already be at $9 right now. That name's important. That's how retail thinks. It's not concrete to them without a name. They look at that heading, they look at that, and this is why there's an opportunity for us right now. They're like, selected by National Health Plan. It's like, okay, like, it's not real to them. Retail traders are very superficial. They look at things at a glance. If it said Aetna, oh, Aetna's huge. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Right now that name's eventually coming, but at least now the analysts, the people on the know, this is validation. This is sentiment. This is the company can execute. This is a big company is validating a second big company. We already got Sanofi. Now we have a second big company validating DRIO's offering. So this is going to cause a sentiment premium. In fact, I don't even think it's a premium. A sentiment premium would send the stock to 20 to 25. What's going to cause is to remove the sentiment discount. The sentiment discount because of the risk-off trading growth assets, and the sentiment discount because of how badly and poorly Teladoc was doing. And by the way, I hope to hear from management on Monday if they're taking some market share, not necessarily market share, but if they're winning some deals away from Teladoc. I think they are in the segment where they're competing. And most of Teladoc's business is not a competition with DRIO, but the part that's Livongo that they bought is competition with DRIO. So all of this improves investor sentiment to say, you know what? Like, we shouldn't be discounting this. This should be trading closer to the price targets the analysts gave of $20 plus. So I think we're at an inflection point with DRIO. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I'm playing it that way. Pounding the table. I am reaching out to friends and family just like I did with AIR. I haven't done that since AIR. Contacted my immediate family, my extended family, just like I did with AIR at 270. My friends on the floor, I'll do today here in the shared office space, just like I did with AIR at 270. I went to them. I said, now is the time to buy AIR. This is the first time I feel like that about any stock in a year. So I've contacted Ben Zinga, contacted Wolf Spaces. We're going to see if we can do a couple shows, get the word out. So in case we're right, we build the credibility of our community. So that's the story with SMSI and DRIO. I hope SMSI bounces into the 250 to 275 range, honestly. I'm probably a seller in that range. I don't know that I'm a seller here in the 220, 230 range. I think we may be seeing possibly overreaction. You could get a spike down capitulation move right at the open. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see SMSI get a 2 or below 2 right at the open within the first 30, 40 minutes. I'm not really interested in selling into such a move. We'll see what happens, see if we can get a bounce. But anyway, that's the story. I hope you enjoyed the show. Our next show will be 8:30 a.m. right here. We're going to be, not here, on Zoom. We're going to be live streaming the DRIO conference call at 8:30. Actually, I may do the pre-market prep at 8 a.m. because I won't be able to do the pre-market prep. We'll be on DRIO 8:30 a.m. right through 9:30 a.m. I'm sure with all the analyst questions. They'll do the pre-market prep at 8 a.m. and then a Zoom at 8:30 a.m. just for VIP members to listen in to the DRIO call together. And then hopefully we will be able to also get DRIO management in the coming week or so to do some follow-up questions for retail because they have so much analyst coverage that they never are able to get me or any other smaller or retail investors onto the call for Q&A. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck. You know, if you got hurt on SMSI, that sucks, but don't worry about losses in the past. Worry about your capital going forward. What's the best use of your capital going forward? Don't expect to win on every trade, right? That's where the bad expectations come in. I have to make money on every trade. If I don't, I'm stupid. No, you're not. It's part of the game. The best people will lose on a trade. So that's part of the game. If you feel like you need to take a loss on SMSI, you can do that. What's your best capital of money going forward? All right. All right, guys. Good luck. Thank you for joining. Listen, 4 p.m. I put a lot of work into these shows. I'm not making any money yet. Like we charge, like, I don't know. A lot of people are grandfathered in, paying like $10, $25 a month, whatever. Our new members are paying $100 a month, but it does not even cover anything. Like I'm a pauper as far as my cash flow goes, which is very difficult for me. So make sure to spread the word of the story trading community. Follow us, on Twitter, twitter.com/storytrading. Follow us, subscribe to youtube.com/storytrading. When our videos come out, make sure to like all of that. Guys, we got to go. The market's about to open. Good luck.